Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nation's organization's main fan page here at Facebook, where I do a daily live stream. I pause a little bit because there's been a few days where I've missed, but I try to make it every day. And the live stream is around the card draw that I do in the morning, and so that we can have a spiritual and spirited conversation about the cards that were drawn and maybe learned a few things from each other, right? That would be nice. So today is Sunday, December 2nd, and it has been snowing here in Tomah, Wisconsin, where I live, which is in the northwestern part of the state. It's been snowing since yesterday, mid-morning or so. I was asking Paul because he was just doing snow removal, and he says we got about 4 inches, maybe 5, and but it's really wet, heavy snow. So it's good for like snowball fights and snowmen and snow women, and George is loving it. We do have some tree damage, not a lot, but there's a few. Because of the weight of the snow, we have a lot of limbs that are down, and one fell on the back fence in the backyard, and just dented it just a little bit. It's a metal fence, so it won't. There's hardly anything to do to fix it. You gotta use a little muscle to straighten it out. But George is loving it. I was trying to get video of him this morning, but it was a little difficult. It didn't turn out very well. At first he was a little afraid because there was a branch that fell and hit the roof of the it's kind of like a lean-to in a way, over where the grilling area is. And he was just about ready to go out and on the back porch, and it hit the metal roof, made a sound, and then slid off the metal roof and then onto the ground, and that kind of freaked him out. So Paul had to go out with him, and once he figured out that it was a branch, because he loves them, he is in seventh heaven with those branches. Yeah. So hey, Sister Christine's here. Hi, I'm listening in for a while I paint. Yay. Good. I'm glad you're here, Christine. And Julie Shumway Hill's here too. Hello, Julie. I always like it when I see you guys' names in the chat. So today is Sunday, and usually at my house on Sundays it's a little bit more slower pace, a little more low key, which definitely was the case this morning. You guys would have been laughing at me, because here I am in my bathrobe and my slippers and with my phone trying to get this video of George this morning. It didn't work. Too funny. And I kind of overslept. My alarm did go off. And I thought to myself, 5 more minutes. Do you ever do that? Just 5 more minutes. Yeah. Well, that 5 more minutes turned into almost 40. So I jump out of bed and fly down the stairs, and Mom overslept too. It's like, phew. So our day got started a little late, but it's okay. I mean, it's Sunday, even if we overslept, it's okay. Yeah. So anyway, I have coffee. What do you guys have? I have coffee this afternoon. Mom wanted a cup of coffee with her afternoon snack, and so I said, yeah, that sounds good. So I have a cup with me. Yum. Oh my goodness, Anne is here too. Hi, Anne. Good to see you in the chat, in the house, as they say. Yeah. So so those that are in Michigan, the snow is on the way. I just told everybody, Anne, that it's been snowing here since yesterday morning, mid-morning, and it's still snowing. It's supposed to snow until later this evening, and then we're supposed to have like clear skies after that, so then it's going to get cold. But anyway, it's on its way, and the snow is on its way. Julie and I are in Wisconsin. Christine already had the snow. She's west of us in Iowa. And so we kind of cover the upper Midwest a little bit. We need somebody from Michigan to chime in, right? All right, so today's card draw. I really, really like this first card. I sat for a while and just with it, just looking at it, because there's really so much to see, and I can't wait for you guys to see it so you can tell me what you think. The, Julie says, I'm drinking pumpkin spice black tea. Oh, that sounds good. Do you have some like whipped cream or whole cream or something in it? You know, that'd be good. That'd be good. All right, so here is the first card for the card draw this morning. Let me know what you guys think about this one. This is called Wise One. Wise One. Right? And it says, go within your current situation. Go within your current situation. This is, I had to sit with this one for a while, just looking at it, because there's so much going on in this card. Of course, you know, the first thing we see is the image of the older woman, right? The gray hair, probably in menopause, representing the crone of the triple goddess. The feathers in her hair, the white and the black. Yeah. And then, you know, the next thing I noticed, of course, was the great horned owl on her shoulder. Very Athena-like, right? With the crescent moon, symbol of the goddess above the owl. And of course, then there's the raven. The raven. And you have to look at what's holding her shawl closed at the top near the neck. There's 3 orbs, dark orbs, graduating in size. And the raven has one in its mouth. Yeah. And in the background, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but in the background, the leaves in the background are rose leaves. Another symbol of the goddess, of actually Mother Mary. Yeah. And on her shawl, she's got these triangles. They look like triangles, lots of them, all facing down, I believe. All facing down. Whenever a triangle faces downward, the apex downward, it represents Earth. The Earth, how do I want to say this? It's about sacred geometry. And when we are talking about the tetrahedron and you put 2 of them together, right? It's a star tetrahedron. And when you have the apex that's going downward, and it's pointing to the earth, that's the female aspect of the tetrahedron. Okay. And it gets kind of a little confusing because we call it an earth tetrahedron when really we should be calling it the female tetrahedron. Because the tetrahedron or the triangle represents fire. Okay. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? Oh, Anne is saying that they have freezing rain over by them in Michigan, northern Michigan. Yeah, that's no fun. That's no fun at all. Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie says, Stephanie has, would you like to read Neshi's latest article? Yes, I would. and she's also, yeah, the card deck. I'll show the card deck cover for those who might not know which deck we're using. It's the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck by Kyle Gray, and the artist is Lily Moses. Lily Moses. And every time I say her name, it reminds me I need to get a hold of her somehow and make a request to interview her on my weekly show. Or maybe even on this one, because she's in New Zealand, and so the time zone thing could be an issue in trying to get her on at a decent time, right? Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to work on that and see what we can do in 2019. All right, so taking a look at this first card, it's called the Wise One. and it says, grow within your current situation. Grow within your current situation. Yeah. Like I said, I spent some time with this particular card. Crystal. Crystal says, I accidentally, air quotes, tuned in just when you started. Love it. Me too. All those synchronicities, right? So, sorry, I'm late, still having technical issues. Mercury's still in retrograde. It's okay, Stephanie. Just take a big, deep breath in, right? Let it calm you a little bit. And this is what I say for Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde does have blessings. Generally, we focus in on the not so pleasant things of Mercury retrograde. But I was taught this by one of my teachers years and years and years ago. She said that she said this is what she says about Mercury retrograde. I accept all of the gifts of the Mercury retrograde, and I let go of anything less than a gift during Mercury retrograde. I release that. And so, all of the blessings of the Mercury retrograde, we get a chance to reevaluate. We get a chance to reassess, to redo. Maybe we have a project that, of any kind, that life gets busy, and so you set it aside, and you mean to get back to it, but it just sometimes it's difficult to go back around to that. But Mercury retrograde, when you tap into the energy of it, it will help you to give you the motivation and the energy, really, to go back and start working on that project again. I use Mercury retrograde many times to tweak the website. I'm not creating anything new. I'm tweaking what we already have. And lots of times we're doing rework. It's not busy work, it's rework, because sometimes what we've done is that, it's like some of the promotions that we have for Star Nations, especially for the radio or the live stream shows. Some of them have outdated information on them. And so we need to go in and get those cleaned up. That's rework. We're not creating anything new, right? So, we can always tap into the positive end of Mercury retrograde. But you're right, Stephanie. Look at poor Connie. I felt so bad for her the other morning when she was having issues with her audio. That's why I stuck with it for as long as we did. When you put it all together, we worked on that for an hour and a half. I don't have a whole lot of time to spend on stuff like that, but it was just because she was so frustrated by it. And it's like, you know what? We're going to get this. We're going to keep with it. We're going to get into the flow. We're going to find out where the root of this is. And we did. So, yeah. Crystal goes on to say, love that positive affirmation for retrograde. I know. Me too. Maureen St. Germain. She used to live here in Wisconsin. And she was one of the people that was a teacher for Drunville Melchizedek years ago. And that's how I went to her to study about the Merkaba and have mine activated through her and the work that she does. And so that was in, I think, 2001 or 2002, something like that. Hey, Donnie's here. Hi, Donnie. I'm so glad to see you in the chat. Yeah. So another Michigan person, Donnie, tell us what's going on weather-wise for you. We've got snow here. Anne, who is in northern Michigan, says that they have freezing rain. And so, I'm thinking that freezing rain is going to turn to snow. Because, what happens here in Wisconsin eventually occurs over in Michigan. We're sending the snow your way with a whole bunch of love. That's it, with a whole bunch of love. All right, so here's the first card that came. Wise One. It's about growing in the situation that we're currently in. Now, for a week or more, maybe even 2 weeks, we've been getting cards about about our spiritual gifts, what we came in with, right? And our access to them, and doing whatever we have to do to have more access to our gifts so that we use them, we apply them more often. Right? Because when we do that, we have joy and we have peace and harmony and just plain fun in our lives. When we're able to apply our gifts more often. And so, and it was talking a lot about how we're manifesting, bringing something new in, and grounding it to the earth plane. All those messages that we got in the past week or two. This one is talking about, okay, now we're going to be sitting with our gifts. We're going to be sitting in the situation that we're currently in, whatever that is. And so how do we apply our gifts in the current situation? Not projecting into the future or living in the past, but right now, in the current situation. Yeah. Hey, Bobby's here. Roberta's here. Last but not least, of course not. We're busy purging today during Mercury retrograde. Okay, hopefully it's not physical purging. I mean, like you're sick. Maybe you're doing some clutter clearing, right? Yeah, and that's a good thing to do. Clutter clearing during Mercury retrograde. That's a good thing to do. Yeah, glad you're here, Bobby. Donnie says 39 degrees and rainy. Oh no. Rain for you too, huh? Over there in Michigan. Yeah, when that temperature drops, be careful. It's going to be like a skating rink. The snow that we got here and we're still getting, it's not, right now it's not quite as wet as it was earlier last night. It's very heavy, wet snow. And I said it's good for snowballs and for snowmen. Snow women. Yeah. So we have, you can hear the kids in the neighborhood. You know, it's not, our houses aren't like really, really close together, but you know, you can hear your neighbors. You can hear the laughter of the kids. Don't you just love that? And this morning, when I let George out, when I opened the Four Seasons door to let him out, I stood out on the small deck out back, the porch. And I have to say it was gorgeous how the snow was clinging to the branches. So you have the white snow and you have the dark wood, right? Because it's wet. And it's just gorgeous, like a winter wonderland, really. And you could hear the wind. You could hear the creaking of the trees. But more importantly, this is the part I just love, is that the air smelled so crisp and clean. And in its coldness, of course, but it was fresh. That's a good word, fresh. And so I stood out there for a few minutes, just, you know, being in it, being grateful for it and just appreciating it because it's so beautiful. Now, don't ask me about January when that happens because my mood will be completely different by then with so much snow. But this morning it was gorgeous. Yeah. All right. So we're going to find out what Kyle Gray has to say about this particular card, the Wise One. The Great Horned Owl in that picture is really good too. You know, the Great Horned Owl is my birth totem. And as a Native American woman in Ho-Chunk culture and Potawatomi culture, that is kind of a interesting medicine to walk with because there's so much fear around owls, and especially the great horned owl. Yeah, they believe that it's a harbinger for death. That when you see that owl, or a owl, I should say, it means that there's somebody that you know that's going to die. And so nobody wants to see the owl. You know, nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody will have a picture of it in their home. Nobody has a mug with an owl on it. That just doesn't happen. But you know, I I like great horned owls. I do. Judy's here too. I'd rather have a beautiful blanket of white snow than this dark, gloomy, rainy thing we got going on in Ludington. Oh my God, another rainy Michigan person. I have to kind of agree, especially to have rain this time of year in a northern state. Yeah. Let's think of it this way, Judy. Right now, you guys are betwixt and between, weather-wise. It's not beautiful weather and it's not snowy or the white winter wonderland Christmas kind of scene I saw this morning. You're kind of in between. You're betwixt and between. And the rain in itself is also very cleansing water, right? Very feminine, nurturing in a way. But the betwixt and between is where the magic is. That's what the Celts say. That's where the magic is. It's not this and it's not that. You're somewhere in between. And so they say that's where the magic is. And so where's the magic? What's the magic going on for you guys over there in Michigan? That's a good question. Where's the magic? What is the magic? That betwixt and between place. And that's the kind of place that we're at when we have those Dreamtime dreams, the prophetic ones, the ones that we're literally in another place, right? Yeah, that between time. Donnie says, I like owls in general. Yeah, I do too. Crystal says, I've heard that all my life about owls, but for me, when someone I love is going to transition, the red-tailed hawk sits on the same place and talks to me, then flies west or southwest. Yeah. So bringing you the message, but it isn't necessarily met with fear. This particular way of viewing the owl has been passed down from generation to generation to generation to generation. And so, and I used to be afraid of them too when I was a kid. Absolutely. Or when I was a teenager driving home and you'd have one fly in front of you, it's like I'd get home and I'd be telling my mom, it was like, oh my God, I just saw an owl. And then she'd stop whatever she's doing. You did? Where? When? Which direction was it flying in? And you'd get all worked up over it. But it was one of those beliefs that I had to sit with for a little while and kind of turn over and over and look in different directions, perspectives of it, and realize that, I want to let go of the fear around that, because that fear isn't mine. It belongs to my ancestors. I want to let that go and replace it with a belief that is more supportive to me, right? And so it was right after I made that decision, and it was in December. I don't remember the year though, because I was in Poynette, so it had been before 2006. And it was right around Christmas. In fact, it was maybe Christmas Eve day. And I got a telephone call from a friend of mine down there near Poynette. And she says, Merry Christmas. And I said, well, Merry Christmas to you too. The reason why I was kind of hesitant is because she's one of the people who doesn't necessarily celebrate Christmas in the more conventional way, right? And for her to call me and say Merry Christmas, it was like, hi, what's up? And so anyway, she says, I have something I want to talk to you about, and I have a gift for you. Are you going to be home? Can we come over? And it's like, sure, come on over. And so she and her husband arrive, and they bring in this box, and they're telling me the story of a great horned owl. That when they got up that morning and they opened up their drapes in their living room, they saw this owl caught in the bird feeder's wires. and basically hung itself, right? And she's crying about it, and John is very hyper vigilant. I kept looking out the window, because it wasn't quite a legal thing they did, and so so anyway, they're telling me about this, and they didn't know what to do, how to do this, because they wanted to honor the life of the bird, and so I did a tobacco giving ceremony with them, and they left the bird with me. Yeah, that was the gift. So I got a up close and personal with the examination of, how really big are their wings, how really big are their talons, that kind of thing. And actually, their body is quite light for the large bird that they are. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Cindy says that, so there is a lot of superstition, the Native American history. There is. And some of it has, if you go back to the original or nearly the original meaning of it, there's some truth to it, but as it gets handed down from one generation to another, it tends to morph a bit. It's kind of like that telephone, when you had the telephone call game and you would say something to somebody and they had to pass it on. And by the time it got back around to the person who said it the first time, it was like somewhat to completely different. And so it goes through a lot of people's filters, right? Yeah. So it does change a bit. It does change a bit as it goes through from one generation to another or one family to another. And so, yes, there is not all of the myths and legends and stories are fear-based, but many of them are. Now, and I had an elder tell me this quite a long time ago. He came to me to learn how to make a drum. I think he was 82 at the time. And he was saying that, back in the day, back before there was a lot of European influence in the state here, he said in order to keep the children safe, they had to come up with a way to be able to bring us in the evenings and to be able to instill in us a way to be wary of certain things. And so sometimes they would actually put the fear in there to do that. And so, to bring us in at night so that we weren't out in the dark by ourselves or playing in the dark, that kind of thing. And so that's how some of those stories started. And Judy is saying, so I felt that way about crows until I read up on them and then realized how smart they are and the meaning of seeing them and that they can recognize a face years later. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Lynn. Lynn's here. Good to see you, Lynn. Thanks for coming in and joining us in the live stream. And for those who just arrived, this is the card that we're talking about right now. It's called the Wise One, and it's about growing in your current situation. Okay, and I was saying how much this card has in it, symbols and meanings, and that the Wise One that they chose to be a woman, female, crone, one of the faces of the triple goddess. You even have the goddess symbol above the owl. And with the owl sitting on her shoulder, I said it's very Athena-like. And even with the raven, just very Merlin-like as well. Some magic going on there. And notice that the raven has one of the round dark orbs in his mouth. And it matches the ones at her throat. So, I'm thinking that it has something to do with the throat chakra, the use of the voice. With it being a dark color, it's much more grounded. Yeah, maybe some more experience with that. Here is what Kyle has to say about this, the author. He says the message is knuckle down, be reliable and committed, be open to wisdom and insights from your elders. The Wise One represents the wisest aspect of the goddess, the crone. In paganism and modern Wicca, The crone is the fiercest, most psychic, and most aware aspect of the goddess. But she has been through many of life's challenges and has overcome many setbacks. On this card, the raven in her hands represents the capacity to overcome the darker times and be reborn again and again. So she helps you to tap into wisdom, to overcome whatever life throws at you. Wisdom being the information stored in your soul. I'm going to say that again. Wisdom being the information stored in your soul rather than the knowledge acquired in this lifetime, and to learn from the experience of your elders. I like that one part about our wisdom is stored in our soul. And for me, that means that whatever we're experiencing, especially when it is an uncomfortable experience, okay, one that goes from runs the gamut from being uncomfortable and you wonder, okay, why did that happen? But you're not really freaked out over it. All the way to the other side of the continuum, the ones that takes you to your knees, the ones that you feel like you got hit by a Mack truck, and you're kind of, you spend a little time in that victim mode. Why me? Why me? Why did it have to happen that way? You know, and so when we're in that experience is when we have the opportunity to use our gifts, our talents, and our skills. But so many times we're knocked off balance that we forget to use them. Until another thing may happen, you might ask for help, your spiritual team, or reach out to a friend or a family member that you trust, and you're literally spilling your guts to them, and having that ugly cry, and so they're there to be able to remind you, did you do this or did you do that, right? Yeah. But it's also about the experience is what we might deem a negative or not really positive, right? And so, but there lies the life lesson. There lies what we're supposed to gain out of that event, out of that experience. And so on the other side of that, when we gain that experience, the wisdom from that, we can keep the wisdom, heal the trauma, and let go of the trauma. We don't have to keep the trauma to have the life lesson. We can let the trauma go and keep the wisdom, what we just learned. And to me, that one sentence that he states here is wisdom being the information stored in your soul. To me, that's what that means. And so no matter what we're going through, that eventually we're going to come on the other side of it. And for me, that means that I'm getting into the flow and not in resistance, not being stubborn and saying, I don't want that to change, or I can do it myself. I don't need anybody's help. And whenever I do that, I make it harder on myself. I make it so much more painful to deal with, rather than being in the flow and asking for help, right? Assistance. He goes on to say that the wisdom of the wise one is based on something that the younger generation is often lacking: commitment and reliability. When this card appears, you're being guided to continue working on your growth and expansion within your current situation. Be committed to your tasks and projects. It can be very easy to get bored and overwhelmed, but persevere. You're being reminded of how it feels to be let down and experience unreliability. And that is not who you were born to be. So keep working on what you're working on, because it's going to be extremely beneficial for you in the long run. In the long run. Yeah, there's a lot there. Cindy is saying, my shaman helps me to do this. Yes, yeah, absolutely. Part of your spiritual team, right? And we all have our go-to individuals, go-to spirit team members that when we're needing assistance, we tend to go to the same handful or one or two. But when you want to have a completeness to the understanding, or maybe that there's someone or something on your spiritual team that has more information and ability to help you than your usual go-to. Okay. So, and I personally don't know all of my team's names. I feel them, I sense them more than I know their names, or if they ever had a physical life. And if they had a physical life, what was their name in that physical life? That kind of thing. Or where did we know each other in that physical life, if we did? But when I do call on them, I call on the whole team, the complete team. Everybody, please come and help me here, because this is what I'm trying to get done, or this is what I need help with. And so, yeah, sometimes it's one of the power animals that comes in. Sometimes it's one of the angels. Sometimes it's a band of angels. Sometimes it's the ancestor healers and holy people that come in. And so, yeah, ask for the entire team. Because, sometimes in our humanness, we tend to limit because our mind is limited. Yeah. Judy is saying, perfect card that's so where I am in my life at this moment. Yeah. When we were, if you're older than 40, when we were in our 20s, or late teens, how reliable were you? I know there's many of us who got a double dose of responsibility. We got ours and someone else's, right? Because we were the responsible ones in the group always. The adult in the room. It's like, looking at somebody and saying, you're really, if you do this, you're really going to hurt yourself. I think you should get down. Because if you fall, I'm not taking you to the ER. You're going to have to find a different way to get there. And being the calm, reasonable one in the group. But our youth was meant to experiment and go on those quests, right? Yeah. So reliability maybe wasn't on the top of the list. And for those of us that had to support ourselves, we had to rearrange our list of responsibility and put rent and food and gas money at the top. Sometimes insurance was down below, or to pay the electric bill. Let's see, I think I can stretch this a little bit, those kinds of things. But as we get older and we've experienced that, we have a different way of looking at it. And I think that experience lends to our wisdom, right? Yeah. Cindy says, my shaman did this and now I do it all the time. That's good. Now I have to say something that I'm hoping is going to come out okay, at least understandable. One of the things I noticed back in 2016, when I was participating in the water protection movement. And when I spent that long weekend out there in North Dakota, and just getting to know some of the more active people on Facebook from that movement. That movement was led by spirit, by prayer, and by peace. That movement began with the young people, the youth of the Lakota Nation. Okay. And they did turn to their elders to help them, to get advice from them. Some of the youth didn't know about the certain ceremonies that were performed, that were done. The elders came in to do that, and specific elders came in to do those ceremonies. But there was a distinction made, and the youth are the ones that made the distinction, is that not all old people are elders. Sometimes they're just old. That sometimes they don't have as much wisdom as some other elders. And when I asked what they meant about that, this particular person, what they described to me was that when a true elder, when you go to talk to them, they don't berate you, they don't shame you, they don't talk down to you. They listen to you. And they try to lead you in a way that they don't do the work for you. They'll tell you about it, and then now you have to go do it, right? And then they compared that to an older person. Maybe they're even, the elder and this older person are even near the same age, is that this older person is berating them, shaming them, making them do all the work, like, that they have to do it. That taking advantage of the younger person and the belief that you take care of elders, right? Yeah. And when the younger person really is trying to quit smoking or, weed or drinking or whatever that is, and getting clean, and then you have an elder who is trying to get you to go and buy the stuff for them, And so, and when they explain that to me, it's like, well, that's true. I can see that. That even though the older person has experience, maybe they don't have the wisdom. And maybe the elder who has the experience but also gained the wisdom and is willing to share that wisdom, right? And then there's also the point that to be a wise elder doesn't mean that you have to be old either. I know some people in their 20s and 30s that they're an old soul, right? They're an old soul. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, so rather than looking at it chronologically, is maybe to look at it in a more spiritual way. And it's not even being judgmental about that older person who maybe not as wise or has gained that wisdom. It's just that you're discerning who can be truly helpful in a situation like they had out in North Dakota, right? Yeah. So those are the things that I was thinking about when I saw this card. Spent a lot of time with this card this morning. Yeah. Let's see. Cindy is saying, I had a special elder in my childhood that was my savior. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I listen to the differences that this younger person or younger people, I should say, took in about older people and elders, I realized that part of what they were talking about was they felt safe with the elder. They felt like this person cared about them, that they were willing to guide them in a way that they could still be responsible for their own decisions and their own behavior and actions, right? Whereas with the older person, they didn't feel safe with this person. They couldn't trust this person. And so I can see, Cindy, when you say that, when you had an elder help you in your childhood and that person was your savior, right? Because you felt safe with them. You felt that they really cared about you. Cindy, she says, you're making me cry. Well, they loved you, and everybody wants to have this grandparent kind of archetype in their life, right? The one that loves you unconditionally, no matter what you did, that they will always love you, right? And that you feel safe with them, and you can talk to them with just about anything, and they know that they're going to continue to love you. Or if you need a place to crash for a little while, that they'll say, sure, you can sleep on the couch, they make sure that you get some food. Now, it doesn't mean that you get to lay around and let them do all the work. No, they'll be asking you to do this or do that, or could you go get me, this would be my grandparents, could you go get me some water? In other words, go out to the well, pump the well, fill up 2 buckets of water and bring them in. And the next time, they're not going to ask you. If you're living there, then you're participating. You're a part of the family. You help out. Right? So yeah, we all wanted that. We all want that grandma, that Gaga or that Nokomis that bakes the cookies or the breads, that will hug you when you're crying, right? Or the Misho, the Joka, that will listen to you when you have a problem. And I can just see my grandpa, when my Misho, sitting outside by the shed on his bench as he's whittling, and when you're talking to him, right? Because he doesn't look great at you, but he's listening to you, right? We all want that kind of person in our life, the wise one. We all want this woman on this picture to be our grandmother, to teach us about the herbal healings, the plants, to teach us about working with our power animals. We all want this person, this wise woman, to help us understand our dreams and that last vision quest we were on, right? We all want that. And I think that's why it's talking about, to grow within your current situation, to be committed to yourself, to be committed to and responsible for really taking in the experience you're currently having. And it's almost like alchemy, isn't it? That one day you turn around and you realize, oh man, this is what I learned from that situation. And you get to add that to your wisdom. That's the alchemy. It turns into your soul wisdom, because you get to carry that on to the next life, the next experience. I spent a lot of time on that card. It's already 10 too. Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is the second card that came. Now, the second card always is in a supporting role to the first card, right? And so it's Mother Earth. Mother Earth. It says, feel loved and comforted. Feel loved and comforted. That we are her children. And that she loves us unconditionally, and that she provides everything for us to grow and to expand. She nurtures us. Yeah. I love this picture of Mother Earth. I like the fact that, she looks pregnant, and she's in her pregnancy, it's the earth. Yeah. I just want to check something here. Because sometimes what happens is the messages stop coming through for some reason. And I want to make sure that I'm not missing anybody's comments. You know what I forgot to do?
I just want to check something.
Whoops, I forgot to share the show out. I forgot all about that. Darn it. Dang. All right. I think we have everybody's comments here. All right. Okay. So here's what we're going to do, guys. Since I forgot to do this. If you would help me to do this, even though they're going to be seeing the recorded show of it, the recording live stream, I think that if I could ask you to please like the broadcast, okay? And what I'm going to do is I am going to share it. And it's only going to take me a minute here because I'm going to share it out to the group. And just to let them know that we're live streaming. I completely forgot. You know how that happened? I'm charging my phone and it's on my right side rather than sitting by the cards. Because when I set it on the cards, and then it reminds me to ask you guys to share. Okay, so okay. There we go. There. Okay. Yeah, I just shared it up to the closed groups. Completely forgot. Completely forgot. Thank you, Stephanie. She says liked and shared. Yahoo! Thank you. I appreciate that. Considering I forgot. Okay, so the Mother Earth card. It says feel loved and comforted. Allow yourself to be cherished. Mother Earth is protecting you with a shield of love and light. Even though when we look around us and we hear about or read about what's going on with Grandmother Earth, the earthquake in Alaska, the 7.2 earthquake there, for instance, right? Or the flooding that was happening, or the fires that were happening. And, you look around and you think, oh my gosh, what are we doing to her? What are we doing to her? And you look at all the garbage that are, that are shown in pictures along beaches and in the ocean. That's all two-legged work right there, right? It's humans that are doing that. And yet she loves us unconditionally. Because let me tell you, if Grandmother Earth didn't want us here with her, she would have shaken us off eons ago. She would have shaken us off generations ago. She loves us. She wants us to succeed. She wants us to fulfill our soul contracts. She wants us to, when we're finished with this physical body, to return it back to her so that our soul can go on to the next experience. She wants all that for us and willing to support us in our soul growth. And so when we're sitting in the situation to grow within the current situation, we can always call on her. We can always get grounded to her so that we're stable and strong, balanced as we sit in our current situation to gather all of the wisdom from that situation, right? And when we're grounded, when we're rooted to her, we're so much calmer and willing to be patient. Yeah. Rather than getting in, as Paul would call it, the hurry up disease. That's what he calls it for me. And so she's there for us. That's what this is about. Yeah. Thank you, Judy, for sharing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The card also goes on to say that if you have felt ungrounded, know that Mother Earth is here to root you and help you regain your sense of strength. You may not feel like a child, but in the eyes of the divine, you are a child of light, and it's important you know that and feel loved. So as I was talking about the elders, that when they're true elders, that they help, they are able to help us feel loved and feel safe. And that when I said everybody wants this archetype for their grandmother, for their mentor, because she has so much wisdom to share, right? So Grandmother Earth, she supports us in that. That's all we have to do is turn to her to ask for help. It says that if you had challenges with your mother or being a mother yourself, know that the energies of mother healing are with you to help clear any ancestral blocks that are preventing you from making the sacred love connection. You're being guided to make choices that are based on love. So as we sit in our situation and we're grounded to Grandmother Earth, we're feeling stronger, we're feeling calmer, more capable, and that we have the ability to make our choices based on love. And then we get to gain that wisdom. That's the pearl. We can even look at this as that is the gift that's in the raven's mouth. The wisdom. Yeah. That's what I see in those cards. So for all these weeks that we were manifesting and grounding that manifestation to the earth plane, using our fire within, right, for that manifestation, that passion. Now we're being asked to sit in our current situation and gain the wisdom from it. And we can do that with the help of Grandmother Earth. And in both ways, both these female images, both these female essences is also about unconditional love and nurturing. Yeah, I like it. I do. There's also that word in there about persevere. Persevere. That while we sit in this current situation is to continue to be in it, so that to persevere, so that we can gain the wisdom from it. Right? We want to be elders, don't we? Don't you want to be a wise elder? I'm asking those in the live chat. Do you want to be known as a wise elder? Yeah, rather than the other, which was an oldster. I think that's what they call them, an oldster. I'd rather be the elder than the oldster. That's not why I decided not to continue to dye my hair, though. I decided to let it go gray because it's really hard for me to get to a salon. because I don't have a lot of help here to be able to help with mom. So, I let one thing go so that I didn't feel the pressure about it, right? And now I'm enjoying it. I like it. I do. The gray hair doesn't bother me. It did at first, it doesn't now. All right. So anything and everything that we talked about today, um, that if it resonated with you, please pick it up, embrace it, and see, watch, notice, sense how the energy is flowing for you today. How does this information help you to understand or maybe be active with it, right? Yeah. And if it didn't resonate with you, don't worry about it. No worries. Just let it lie. It's okay. No worries. No, you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. It just wasn't meant for you. Possibly you can be the messenger. Maybe you know somebody who would enjoy the conversation or have been looking for information about it, right? And you can share the link with them to the recording. Yeah. Judy is saying, I would also, but sometimes it's pretty hard. You have to hold it together for all the rest of the family members who are suffering, and it does take its toll, but it's better than the other. Yes, it is. Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we can't have fun. That doesn't mean that we can't have an enjoyable time. It just means that we know the limits. We know ourselves really well to know that, alcohol and me don't mix. Or I know that I can take one glass of wine with supper. I know I don't want to experience hangovers anymore because it takes too long to get over them. That is being wise because we're taking care of our bodies. Doesn't mean that we don't like to go out dancing, because we do. But what it does mean is that we're willing to share the wisdom that we gained with others, right? Not to do the work for them, but to be able to share that with them so that they have information to base their decisions on. Yeah. And Stephanie Williams, she says, that would be interesting. To be an elder would be interesting. Yeah. Well, in my particular nation that I belong to, the Potawatomi Nation, we have it actually in our bylaws. What is the definition of an elder? And what they use is a chronological age. 55 and older. 55 and older, and you're considered an elder. And why did they do that? Because there's benefits that are given to the elderly, like parking closer to the building without having to have a disabled parking thing. That you have a percentage off on your meals or anything at the casino, basically, right? So they had to identify that. It helped me once. It really did. We were at the Gathering of the Nation a couple years ago, and we just arrived and trying to find a place to park. And the guys that were helping, showing you where to park, they kind of looked in and they said, any of you guys elders? It was like, no. And Paul goes, well, what's an elder? And so the guy tells him, and he looks at me, he starts laughing. He said, because I had just turned 56, right? And he said, she's an elder. I had to show him my tribal ID card and the parking attendant. And so he showed us where the elders were parking. And so we got a better parking spot, but yeah. All right. So I would like to encourage you also to join us this week for the live stream shows here at Star Nations Radio Network, live stream shows on Facebook. On Tuesday noon Eastern time is Polyjola Bay and Chakra Sessions. Okay. And then we'll have this afternoon live stream for the card draw information. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern, is my weekly show, Communications from Home. And my guest this week is Julie Hedges. And Julie and I are going to be talking about drumming, drum circles, drumming a prayer, and also we're going to be doing some drumming, some rattles. Okay, so we're encouraging you, inviting you to join us, to bring your drum, bring your rattles, any kind of percussion instrument that you like, and because we're going to be doing some prayers for Grandmother Earth. Okay, so you can join us at 8 p.m. Eastern for Communications from Home. Wednesday is Polly Joe is back with Soul Connections at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you're a light worker, an energy worker, and you put a lot of people before you when it comes to healing, and you haven't taken care of yourself and healing your own issues, Wednesday nights for us. You come in with your own intention of what you want to heal or release. Polly Joe creates the sacred space and holds that container for us along with her spiritual team. So our spiritual team and we get to do our individual work within that sacred space. It's a pretty powerful evening if you haven't experienced it. So with that, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And you guys out there in Michigan, take care, drive careful. If you can, just stay home. Watch a good movie or something. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Bama Mina, until we see each other again. Love you guys.